What's going on, y'all? My name is Christopher Life Willers, and as always, I want to say thank y'all for hopping up on the Stay Free show. This is a revamp, a reintegration, if you will. This is a culmination. No, I don't want to use that word because this is a new birth of. Because back in the day, we were doing the real prison talk, and we were getting up here talking specifically about the stories that impacted people about incarceration. This go around, we're talking about not just incarceration, but mental health, addiction, and all the rest. I always also want to stop right now to say that this is Second Chance Month. April is Second Chance Month. And as we bring this to a close, just like tonight's story highlights the importance of somebody giving a second chance, I always want to highlight the individuals that are currently incarcerated deserving of that. There's a multitude of individuals right now that are currently incarcerated waiting for their opportunity to come home, and they've been working hard to show that they're worthy of that opportunity. So if you've got a loved one that's deserving of a second chance or fighting for their freedom, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments or the chat. We definitely want to acknowledge them. And as always, man, we're grateful to have you here. Getting straight into it, my whole thing is I wanted to support people that support the message and the platform. I wanted to bring up the people that I see in the comments, the people that are doing great and like whatever it is. And this brother right here, Jordan, is a story of victory. And it's so important for Second Chance Month to highlight individuals that came home, that are humble, but yet are making a way out here and showing people that may have a negative stigma towards returning citizens that the narrative is different for a large percentage of us. So without further ado, man, I want to bring my guests up for tonight. Let's bring Jordan up. How you doing, good brother? Oh, you're on mute, but that's okay. We got you.
Hey, brother, I am doing great. Truly thankful to be a part of your show, man. And like you said, it's the second chance month. I probably had a million chances, so I am grateful for a second chance. That's for sure. And I'm glad to be here with you.
Man, I'm glad to have you. And yeah, I've had a second, a third, a fourth, fifth, a sixth chance, I feel like. And today, getting right into it, and I kind of alluded to it, I wanted to bring you on because, and I mean, you're really humble about it, but man, you're doing good. You're successful out here. But before we get into that, I want to bring everybody back to the beginning of some of the stuff we talked about and some of the stuff you went through in order to be on the podcast today and this live stream. Like, can you tell a little bit of people about if you've had experience with incarceration or how you've been impacted by the justice system?
Absolutely. So my introduction to the justice system actually started at a young age. I had my first marijuana charge when I was like 14 years old, and like the statistics say, man, it's like a repeat cycle once you get introduced to the justice system. So from there, it progressed, man, and I struggled with addiction. That was my main problem getting into the justice system, and it progressed over the years. Got little charges here and there, go to jail for 3 months, 30 days, 6 months. Ultimately, at the end, the last time I said, this is done. I'm not doing it anymore. They didn't slap me on the hand. They gave me 56 years in Virginia State Prison, and they suspended 46 years. And with my good time, I ended up doing like right at 9 years. It was a little bit less than 9 years, but 8 years, 11 months, and some days. So I definitely have experience with the justice system. Like I said, addiction pretty much led me down that path. I don't know if I should say it or not, but I don't believe it's fair in the justice system because I had a drug problem and I'm doing time with guys that, I mean, this dude had a couple years more than me and he was locked up for his second murder. Like he killed two people and he was only doing a little bit more time than me for having a drug problem. So I don't think the justice system is fair either. Hey brother, I can't hear you. Your microphone's muted.
Thank you. We are live and we are here to hold each other down.
There we go. There we go.
I remember when I was in the system, right? 2004 to 6, 7, 8, and this might have been before you were in the system, they were putting individuals that had dirty urines from a level 1 road camp onto a level 4 maximum security prison. And you had individuals that had a year up there with lifers. And let me tell you, there was a percentage of those guys that got put in bad situations, messed up, hurt. And that's kind of the segue I want you to chime in on, Jordan. Can you speak about the realities of addiction and incarceration? Because I once said the majority of those people that are incarcerated were either impacted by mental health or addiction. What are your thoughts on that? And how do they treat addiction in prison for anybody that may not know?
I agree with you 100%, man. Man, I'd probably say more than 80% of the prison system is because of mental health and substance abuse issues. And that prison is not the answer for those issues. I don't believe. I believe maybe in a severity of a crime that may have been committed, maybe prison is the answer for some time, but treatment is the answer. People need to be treated for mental health. People need to be treated for substance abuse. And I know the prison system says they're trying to treat those issues. From my experience, it was basically, hey, we get funded to do this class on substance abuse and you're going to do this class. But I'll be honest with you, the counselor teaching the substance abuse class, I when I was locked up, I took a lot of time. I realized my life was messed up. I needed to learn something different. So I read and studied a lot. And the counselor teaching the substance abuse class would actually call me in her office and ask me questions about the material she was teaching. So, I mean, that tells you the level of treatment that they're giving. And your microphone is muted again. Okay, but yeah, the level of treatment they're actually giving it, I maybe if you're serious about change, you could get something out of it. But for the most part, it's just, hey, we're going through the motions. This is what the higher ups are telling us we need to do, and this is what you have to do to come home, or we're going to take some of your good time away. Um, but I don't think it's being treated on the level that it needs to be treated to really help individuals that may not be fortunate enough to study and learn on their own and need that guidance and need that help. If that makes any sense of what I'm saying.
Oh, it makes absolute. I also, you did your time in Commonwealth of Virginia. I did my time in Commonwealth of Virginia, and I've been really transparent and out loud with saying that the programming there, it was subpar. I'm not saying that there weren't counselors and staff that cared, but the percentage was minute, or maybe I don't know what you can. And also, like you said, the other issue was there was a disconnect. Like, I had a really cool counselor that tried to do a substance use disorder class in there, but she's never had a drink in her life. So there's a and that's why they called you, Jordan. And kudos to, if anybody's watching this, they now have a bunch of certifications called certified peer specialist, forensic peer specialist, all these different certifications that you can get now based on the fact that you were incarcerated or you had a struggle with mental health or addiction that allows you to work in the field. So I'm glad you highlighted that. Jordan, I got a question because I did a post today about this is crazy, and this was totally unintentional. I did a post about a friend of mine. His name was Jordan. Kid you not. It was unfortunate because what happened with my friend was he was battling some stuff, addiction, and he went home, and within days after he had did over 5 years, the battle had won. The addiction, right? And that's one of the individuals. I've got a couple more friends. I remember a buddy of mine named Tommy that was on Greensville with me. He went home, and within a few days, he didn't make it because of the addiction that came. What do you tell people? And maybe this wasn't your case. Maybe you were already good to go. But what do you tell people when it comes to coming home and still going down a path of sobriety or getting help for recovery or dealing with addiction? Because I'm in recovery long term. Alcohol was my issue. And I feel like there's always something there that has to be dealt with or addressed, or So what are your thoughts?
First, I can relate 100% about people I was incarcerated with that came home and the addiction won, and they're no longer with us. I can I I can count multiple people that happened to, and I considered them friends. Um, Man, you always have to be on your guard. If that's something you've struggled with, addiction is sneaky and it will, I don't care how long you've been clean, it will always find a way to sneak back in some way, shape, or form. So you always have to be on guard when it comes to that. You have to um, use your tools that you put in the toolbox. What's been working all these years, if you stop using those tools, you're going to have a hard time. That's like, if a carpenter is building a house and all of a sudden he stops using those tools, well, that house can't be built anymore. And it's the same thing I would say with addiction, is that if you stop using your tools, well, everything you built up to that point is not going to work anymore because you're not using your tools that built the foundation of sobriety to begin with. So it's always around the corner. It's always knocking at the door, and it's sneaky. So we have to be on guard at all times if we want to maintain that um, life of sobriety that we've been so proud of. Because it, like I said, it's very sneaky, and we have to stay strong.
What and I want to read the comments really quick. Meet Mike says, "Facts. You got to stay on top of your recovery. If not, it will creep in and you will relapse just for today for a reason." Thank you for the comments on that. I definitely want to read that. And then Sonia Cody said, "Wow, wow, wow! It is amazing, nephew." So I'm assuming she's not talking to me. So, I believe it's, but that you are highlighting injustice that's going on. Blessings to both of you and those in and get out and stay free. Maybe they're talking to me. I don't know. But thank you, Sonia Cody, for chiming in.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
This platform is geared towards connecting people through their experiences. And I'm glad to have you up here sharing, Jordan. One thing I wanted to ask you, not just about addiction and recovery and coming home from incarceration, but what are the things that you have to do in order to build a foundation and start being, oh, that's my wife's auntie, and start being successful? I'm sorry, Auntie Sonia.
Oh man, it's a long list, but the first thing, man, I had to realize I had to change the way I think. My mindset was jacked up, man. Most people that have struggled with addiction, or I mean, just a life of crime in the streets or whatever, man, we think it's going to be different, but we keep thinking the same way and we keep getting the same results. So until I shifted my mindset, nothing changed. I had to, man, I did some real internal investigation and I looked within myself and I'm like, okay, everything I've thought up to this point has not worked. And that's when I went to the books and started learning. I read a lot of self-help books. Um, a lot of religious books. Thank God for, I give him credit for changing my life, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to do the work ourselves. Um, but shifting my mindset was the number one thing that I had to do, and then that's like the foundation, and then you have to build upon that. You can't frequent the same places you used to go. You can't frequent the same type of people you used to hang around. They say that in the recovery community, people, places, and things, but not just in recovery. That's anything in life that you trying to change or do better at. You can't go around the same people, the same places, and do the same things and expect to get something different. When I think it's a very common saying, but doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. And so yeah, mindset matters, man. That was the biggest thing, and then changing from my mindset, changing the people, the places, and things I hung around. I meet people today and I tell them my story that they've known me after prison. They never knew me before prison. And they're like, there's no way that was you. But yeah, it really was me. everything I tell people is true about me. And um, all that stuff had to change to make me the man that I am today.
What I want to ask you, was there like, have you had any hurdles or obstacles since coming home, like battling stigma, stereotypes, like anything? Everybody's journey is different. Some people have different struggles, but what are some of the things you've had to address or identify or work out?
Yeah, initially, the very first week home, uh, the probation system, man, you got to jump through a million hoops. They tell you when you get out, you have to do A, B, and C. Well, when you get out, you do A, B, and C, and there's like a whole another list of things that you got to do that they didn't tell you had to do. For example, I had some trouble way back in 2004. I was locked up in 2010. So it was the ASAP class that I had to do in 2004, and I never did it. I paid the money, but I never went. So I get out. I'm thinking I can go get my license, and they're like, "No, you can't get your license because you have to do this ASAP class. Um, Even though you paid your money, we're going to have to charge you again the same amount of money you already paid to do the class also. And then after you do the class, you're still going to have to wait 6 more months to be able to get your license. So I was thinking I'm going to come home and I'll bust the doors open. I'll be driving so I can work and I can build a business and do all these things. And that was just the first hurdles I had to jump over to get going. And it's just, you probably experienced it as well. It seems like it's one thing after another when you get out trying to move forward. And I even told people close to me, I understand why so many people go back because it's so many things that you have to do, and they don't make it easy for you to do them. And it's like I can see why people give up, man. It's a lot, but the biggest thing for me was the probation system. Thank God I had a support system out here, so I didn't really have to worry about housing, finding a job, things of that nature. But I know that is a struggle for a lot of people, and there is hope because there is places out here that really help people. But then again, I don't think the prison system is connecting the people to the resources in a way that they should. I know they try to, but from my experience, there's a lot more resources than what they're showing people there is. But those were my hurdles, and it doesn't sound too bad probably compared to some other people's obstacles, but they're definitely there, and it wasn't easy at first.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. I listen. I came home with a wife and a mortgage, right, and lived in a cul-de-sac, and a totally different pathway coming out of prison than 98, 99% of my brothers, that went through way harder struggles. But your struggle's your struggle, you
Yeah.
know. Mental health, anxiety. I want to ask you really quick. Did you ever battle with anxiety? Did you ever? Definitely want to let you chime in on that.
Oh my God, that's wow. It's funny you bring that up because I struggle with anxiety pretty bad, and I still do to this day. And I'll come on here. I'm transparent. I'm an open book, dude. I just started going to therapy last week because I was like, my way's not working. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with going to therapy, so I want to try to find a way to get a hold on this anxiety. Um, it's something I've struggled with. I realize now my whole life, anxiety. But where I'm at now, I'm getting married next month. I have a son that's almost 3. I run a business that is bigger than I ever thought it would be, and I know there's a lot of growth still in front of me for the business. So I've never been a husband. I've never been a father. I've never ran a business this size, and the anxiety that comes with that was overwhelming for me. Maybe not to somebody else, but for me it is. And so I'm active in my church. I go to church. I read the Bible. I'm very involved in my faith, but I also believe there's other tools out there. And therapy is something that I've started, and I look forward to a positive experience with that to help me deal with anxiety. But anxiety is very, very real, and I'm not surprised you touched on it. Sometimes that's how these conversations go. Um, you talk about what's needed without even realizing that's what was needed. But I think anxiety is also something that affects a lot of people, and they may not even know what it necessarily is. And dude, I know you're involved in mental health a lot, so I think you're probably a number one supporter of people going to therapy. And if I could put it out there right now, look, if you're struggling with anxiety or depression or anything like that, seek the help that you need, because it can really hold you back in life. It can cause you to go backwards in life, and there's help out there. So get the help that you need if those are things that you're struggling with.
My auntie just said PTSD is real. And it is. Anxiety is real. All of these things are very real. And if you need help, get help. I'm glad you brought that up, Jordan. I go to therapy every single week. I'm somebody that's a mindset resilience coach. I'm somebody that's the outreach coordinator for a detox center. I'm a motivation. I'm all this, right? People see me as whatever they see me as. No, I'm the person that needs help. I'm the person that I'm better in my recovery. I'm better in staying free. I'm better in being a husband. I'm better at being a man when I'm a part of the healing process. And anybody that's watching this, even if you don't feel like you need therapy, it's cool just to go to therapy to do like a check-in. Like, just see where you're at mentally. Let some stuff out. I go to therapy at this point now. At first, I was doing a lot of work. Now, I go on Fridays at the end of my work week, and you might want to use this one, Jordan. I'm one entrepreneur to another, and I dump out everything. Sometimes you just got to go to therapy and just dump it out and lay it on out there. And I'm glad you brought that up, because you're getting ready to get married. All these new experiences. I can relate to so many of the things that you said. The anxiety and the expectation, wanting to be a certain way, all this, and then let alone living in 2025. How about you just alive in 2025 for anxiety? So I'm glad you're going to therapy. I go to therapy. I wish everybody go to therapy, support groups, etc. But I want to talk to what you just kind of chimed in. You're successful, man. You went to prison. You got initially they tried to give you what, 50 what? How many years was it? 56?
56, yes, sir. Yep.
They tried to give you 56 years. You end up doing some time, obviously not 56, because that would mean you'd be 90 probably, or 80 or whatever. But you come home. We talked about anxiety. We talked about some of the things you faced when you came home. How are you successful? To somebody that is coming home from prison, that's been gone for 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, what are your key components to not just being a successful entrepreneur and businessman in the prison, but just being successful and reaching goals in life?
Um, it, and the number one thing I touched on was your mindset. You got to change your mindset. That's been huge for me. Um, but also, we're not what we've done. Like, the things that we've done do not define who we are. And I think a lot of times we allow things that we've done to stick to us like a label. Um, I could go around and call myself a convict because I did almost 10 years in prison, and I could label myself a criminal. I could label myself a felon, but that's not who I am. That's some mistakes that I made, and I'm not that person. I see it all the time, man. Like, guys I know that's from the streets, and they're like, man, I'm just a street dude. So here at 40 and 50 years old, they're still hanging in the streets because they've just labeled themselves a street dude all their life, and that's not who we are. We can be anything that we want to be, no matter who we. Some of us may have bigger hurdles to jump than others, but whatever we want to do in life and whatever we want to be in life, we can do that. But we can't keep defining ourselves by the things we've done in the past. I'll even give you this example. in prison, man, a lot of guys hold on to their victories that they had before prison. So, I mean, this one guy I know, he was on the Dallas Cowboys, and now he's 60 some years old, but he's still talking about he's a Dallas Cowboy football player, and he's been incarcerated in and out for the last 30 years. You know what I mean? So, dude, you're not a Dallas Cowboy anymore. You got to define yourself as something else. Not saying define yourself as a prisoner, but you have to label yourself as something other than that. That we and I think that that's been a big help, that I don't allow what I did to determine who I am and where I can go. And that's helped a lot in my success, because a lot of people say, well, I can't even find a job because I'm a felon. But here, I'm an entrepreneur and a business owner. I have keys to bank buildings. I have keys to doctors' offices. I have keys to lawyers' offices, but I don't think I would have those things if I was walking around labeling myself a felon, labeling myself a criminal. Nobody would give me that opportunity. So I'm not what I've done, that's for sure. And that's helped a lot in my success, since I've been out, not just in business but in life in general. I know people that are involved in my life now that would have never been involved in my life when I was doing the things that led me to prison. But like I said, I don't allow those things to define who I am.
I want to ask you a couple more questions. Because I don't know if I asked you this. Okay, you touched on people, places, and things, but just because a young man asked me this question earlier, I got you up here. You can give perspective to it. What does your support circle look like now that you're home? Does it look different than before you? I'm sure I don't want to, but does it? Does it not? What type of people are you getting around you that support your freedom? Like, what does that look like? Oh, you got to unmute. There you go.
Okay, it's muting itself on its own. Technology is crazy. But my support system is great. I'm so thankful for them. Believe it or not, my circle is a dot. Before I went to prison, my circle was huge. I thought I knew hundreds of people, and I know everybody and everybody in the bars and the clubs, and I was thought that those were my people. But my circle is, like I said, it's a dot. My support system is very small but very real. Of course, thank God for my parents. They've stuck by me through the hard times. I know at times they didn't want to, but at the end of the day, they're still here for me. They stuck by me while I was incarcerated, so they played a major role. Um, I have some friends from my past life in my circle now, but guess what? They're doing the same thing I'm doing. They're family men. They own businesses. They go to church regularly. You know, Believe it or not, you might think this is kind of funny. I know you did a lot of time on higher level prisons, so you're not too fond of COs, but I have correctional officers in my life as my support system out here in society, because they saw the change that made inside the prison system. And we waited the proper amount of time, 6 months. When you get out, no interaction, and we talked casually. And now, I mean, there's some of the best people I have in my life because they saw the change. They asked me for advice, I asked them for advice. But the like I said, the support system is small, but it's very, very real, and bigger isn't always better. I take quality over quantity any day of the week. um I have spiritual people on my support system when I need that type of support. I have entrepreneurs that are multimillionaires when I need some type of advice in that area. And um, it's not like I'm just there to use them, though. They see the sincerity. My word means something. What I say is is what I do, and what I claim to be is what I am, and they see that, so they're more willing to offer that advice and support and that help. You could probably say this too. When people see you trying, they're very, very willing to throw in a hand and help you out, man. It's not hard to get the support you need when you're honestly putting forth the effort to make change and be better and to grow in life. Um, People will come out of the woodworks that you didn't even know, hear your story, and be like, "Look, I like what you're doing. I gotta support your cause." I'm sure you experienced that with what you're doing with your prison awareness and recovery and all of that stuff. I'm pretty sure the level you've achieved is probably mind blowing to you sometimes, and I know you got even greater things coming for you. But like I said, the quality over quantity any day of the week, and I'm so thankful for my support out here. My fiance is super supportive. She probably wants to choke me sometimes, but even on those days, she's got my back and she sticks by me, and I love her for it. But yeah, man, it's the support system's small, but it's very, very real.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the real support system, man. And the reason I just want to ask brother chime in. You coming home from prison, like your team and who you have around you, your family, your support is key. Um, and by the way, it's not that I don't like COs. COs don't like me. No, I'm just no. I got one or two. I believe it or not. I'm friends with a prosecutor. I'm friends with a sheriff. I'm friends with matter of fact, chief of police out there in PA just reached out. There's a percentage of good guys out there. And support comes in different ways, man. And the reason I brought that up is don't discriminate against the support that may be out there. I've got some amazing support from some people that I probably would never have expected getting support from. And it's like bruh said, it's because I'm showing up every day. Be the best you can be, and opportunities will come about organically. People will see you and they will support and acknowledge you. So I just wanted to say that. Jordan, we're bringing this up to a close, man, but I definitely want to give you an opportunity, man, to give a message. Please shout out your business too, man. But any message, if just anything you want people to know, need people to know, this is your time, man. And thank you for hopping up here on the platform. And this revamp, we done reintegrated into the system with the lives. So I'm glad to have you up here, man.
Awesome, man. I truly appreciate you having me up there. Knowing the size of your platform, man, it's pretty humbling, and I'm very thankful for it. I don't have the most powerful story in the world, but it's a story of success, and it can reach somebody, and that's my whole hope from this episode of your Stay Free show is that somebody's touched, and that somebody going through something that I've been through realizes there's hope and that they can get through it. I'm going to shout my business out. If you're in the 757 area of Virginia, I do pressure washing and commercial cleaning. We do janitorial in doctor's offices and Class A office buildings, Inside Out Cleaning LLC. Look us up. We're on social media on Facebook. You can also look me up, Jordan Lahy, Lahy. That's my name on Facebook. That's the one I utilize the most. My number one message, man, I can't go anywhere without saying it, is Jesus Christ saved my life. I know this isn't a religious show, but I got to put that out there. If we could talk more about it one day, that'd be awesome. But if you're ever in a bind, man, look to Jesus and he will reach out a hand and lift you up. But that does not mean that we don't have to do the work ourselves. Faith without works is dead. You can believe all you want, but if you're not trying to put forth the effort, not much is going to change. But we are all humans, and if I can do it, you can do it. We can make it. There's hope after incarceration. Um, if you're living a life that could lead to incarceration, there's hope before that happens. You just got to make the change necessary. Seek the people you need to help you make those changes, whether it be therapists, pastors, doctors, life coaches, whatever you need. You don't have to do it alone. There's help out here, and get the help you need. And that's my message to anybody. In short, I don't want to take all of your time up. I know you got a time limit, but there's hope, man, and we can make it. Each one teach one.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate you. And we talked a little bit about off camera, man. Faith is so key, and we're not here to tell anybody what to believe in, what to do. But I agree with you, brother. It's my faith that sustains me, but I also got to do the work. You know? So I'm grateful for that. Make sure you guys check out Jordan on Facebook. Make sure you check him out if you're in 757 out there in Tidewater. You checking out Inside Out Cleaning. Look them up on social medias. Support businesses owned and ran by people that were incarcerated, because they out here and they doing great things, man. So I'm always asking for our businesses to be supported. And again, thank you, Jordan. As I bring this to a close, I just want to say again that this is Second Chance Month. 1 out of every 2 people in our country is impacted by incarceration in one way, shape, form, or another, whether directly or indirectly. This conversation is geared not just to bring highlight to Jordan and so I can get up here and run my mouth, but as a reminder that there's countless brothers and sisters incarcerated and juveniles deserving of a second chance that can come home and be successful just like Jordan. And that's all we want to do. We just want to push the narrative, have the conversations, and show the world that people that got their second chances, or if you like me, my 5th chance, 6th chance, 7th chance, we're deserving of that, and we can come home and do the work, man. As always, I would say stay safe, but in times like this, respectfully, I tell everybody stay dangerous, and you could read between the lines. No, I don't mean that to the extreme. It means be on point, be assertive, be progressive with your dreams. Don't sit back and wait for them. Time is of the essence, and we geared up and ready to go. We got about 79 more shows just for season 1, getting ready to gear up, man. And if you'd like to be on the platform, it's going across the ticker down there. You can email me at thelifeunitinc@gmail to get on the Stay Free show. I would love to have y'all, man, so we can hear your story and you can help motivate and inspire somebody that needs to hear your voice. Until next time, man, as always, stay free. Peace.